Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Iowa Alliance for Arts Education webinar series. Today, our webinar series is on hosting a festival or contest. Joining us today in this webinar is David Law, Susie Jones, and myself, Jennifer Gasser. Real quick, the Alliance for Arts Education is an umbrella organization for the state arts organizations. The primary mission is to increase awareness, recognition, and support of policies, practices, and partnerships that ensure and advance quality arts education for all Iowans. Today, we're going to start with talking about hosting a festival with Susie. Would you like to talk about the first things that we want to do?
Sure. So one of the first things that you need to do is meet with your administration and be sure that the date that you need for your contest works for your building. So you need to check if your facility is available. If you have the flexibility of picking a date that's not prescribed by the state, then sitting down and doing that right away with your administration is a great idea. The sanctioning comes through, for many events, the Iowa High School Music Association, Arts Educators of Iowa, the Iowa High School Speech Association, and there might be some other associations that also sanction events that are held in buildings throughout Iowa. You need to fill out any fundraising permission forms for your school system. You need to think about the timetable if you are going to be hosting, and think about how to publicize and send out any save the date messages for whoever will be attending your contest. You also will think about hiring judges. Are you taking care of each hiring yourself, or are you using a head judge that assembles the panel? Does the state take care of hiring the judges for your competition? The thing about these different competitions in the state of Iowa is that the different associations all run things a little bit differently. So even though we're talking about good practices across the board, you will definitely need to talk to your association as well. And David, let's move on to you for the next. Or maybe somebody has something else to throw in there on that.
Before I start on my part, I'd like to point out that this is also for new teachers coming into an established program with everything already set out ahead of time. Just because the date's on the calendar and the festival's been running for 30 years, you need to still know all this stuff, because everybody else is going to assume that you know all this stuff. Okay, 1 year out. Definitely look into cancellation insurance. And now that I'm retired and I'm on the school board, I would suggest you go to your business manager and find out who insures the school district and approach them first. It's just good public relations. It'll probably be a local company and they'll be happy to do it. They might even do it for almost nothing. But if you have an outdoor event or during the winter months, this is critical. By the way, if it's during the winter months, probably want to have, if possible, an alternate date just in case. Is there an advertising fee structure? What has been used in the past? Is it time to upgrade it? So a lot of these things on this page can be put in the hands of qualified parents in your support group. Admittance fee structure, especially for multi-day events, or is it just a free will donation? Particularly in the choir area, show choir area, sometimes there are admittance for the prelims and a separate admittance for the finals. Isn't that true, Jennifer?
That is correct.
Now, art students can accept token cash awards, like if it's at a juried art show, and that's not a problem. But if they're selling their works privately, they might be considered professionals and could jeopardize any possible college scholarships. So art teachers out there, make sure that your students, especially your real go-getters, are aware, because colleges could very easily look them up online and find out if they're selling or not. Who's sponsoring and benefiting? The people that are coming need to know. Are they an accredited nonprofit? If it's your support group, most of those are 503 501c3 organizations. But you need to find that out, because if your name is on the invitation and your name is on the show, you're on the spot. Make sure you're tied in with your school business official, your business manager. They will tell you, they will help you. They have to pass the audits every year, and the audits are incredibly strict for school districts. So make sure that they're on your side and you're helping. Parent committees needed. You just need to rough out how many committees do you need and what are they doing? How much advanced planning do they need, especially if you're doing food? What ballots are being used? Now in the music area, especially in marching bands, are you going to use the Iowa ballots, or do you have outside of state judges coming in and you're going to use the Midwest combine ballots, or just exactly what are you doing? And especially if you decide to change the ballot, make sure that every participating school gets a copy of that and a notification way in so they know what's going on. And then what are the rules and guidelines for participating schools? That seems kind of simple, but you need to, from a legal standpoint, put those things down on paper. Okay, Jennifer.
6 months out. Trophies, think about how many you need and how far in advance, especially if we're engraving. Sometimes they can take as much as 3 to 6 months advance notice for getting trophies ready for your competition or festival. Video and audio expertise to provide comments and video for participating groups. So make sure you have the equipment ready and you have the people with the knowledge to help you with the videoing or auto recordings you're giving to your groups. Maps and signs, audience parking, business equipment parking, student drop-off, equipment drop-off. Some of these signs may need to be made months in advance, especially if they want to be durable to withstand wind or snow or rain if they're being set up outside.
And Jennifer, make sure that you are in contact with your local police department and they know that 67 school buses are coming to town, that type of thing.
I agree. That's a great thing to add to this list. And also school building map. Make sure that you have enough homerooms for all your ensembles to get ready in, and locations of each event. Maybe that's for making sure that your building map, if you have events happening in different rooms, to make sure that everyone knows where those events are happening, and you can hand those maps to the audience members at the front of the building. Anything that anybody else wants to add on the 6 months out? Okay, go ahead. Susie.
So 3 months out, you should reserve hotel rooms for your judges or any directors who are going to be staying over in your community, and also plan ahead for meals. I know that for the Iowa High School Speech Association, we usually have a special separate meal for our judges and some other people who work that day for us, aside from just the normal concession stand that students and parents often utilize.
And Susie, can I throw in something here?
Yeah.
I was judging a state large group contest on a Friday night, and we didn't really have a break put in, and they brought in takeout Kentucky Fried Chicken for us to eat while we were writing. So think about put yourself in the position of the judge as what's going to be practical.
Yeah, food is very important for the Speech Association, so we really try not to let anyone miss a meal during the speech event. So you also might want to think about programs, and obviously those vary a lot between the different events. You should definitely be thinking 3 months out about recruiting volunteers. So you might need door monitors, ticket takers, and also this is something that I think gets forgotten quite a bit. Nurses or a medical professional around during the event. You'll have sometimes thousands of people at your location, and you really need a medical person on site. Maybe it's an EMT or a nurse or just someone who can help out in case of emergencies, or even simple things like giving someone, ibuprofen. Concession stands and student meals need to be planned out. And also, if you can, determine a schedule for the day and send that out to your participating schools.
And one more caveat in there, in terms of the concessions and the meals for the students, we have more and more, like my daughter, vegetarians and vegans. So you do have to kind of keep that in the back of your mind also.
And with the pre-ordering for events, if you're hosting a festival for like a conference festival, honor band or honor choir, maybe if there may be some pre-ordering of food, of pizza, just so you know how much you will be serving that day. That would be the pre-ordering part, if that is needed. And then the last thing on there is schedule events to schools. A lot of schools need to know when their group is going to be performing and at what times. Now that change is correct for speech, correct, Susie?
Right, because we don't usually do the schedule. Well, we can't do the schedule because each school can have, I think this year we had 27, 30 groups for large group. And so we schedule those later. But then, and we also have to work with special requests for that day. Okay. So it's not possible for us to do that 3 months out.
Right. Awesome. Next one, 2 weeks out, David.
Double check all your volunteer jobs and that they are covered. It doesn't hurt to have one extra backup person that you could rely on at the last minute if you needed to. Email the staff about the event happening in the building. And we used to go around and with cameras now on phones, it's real easy to take a picture so that you could reset their classroom when you're done. And you just hand it to the kids and say, here's where it goes. Very important, because we're actually borrowing their room. Now, it is the property of the school district, but when you live in your room all day long and you really, become very protective, that type of thing. So let them know in advance so that they're not fussing too much. Write up all volunteer job descriptions, and you can just keep that from year to year. And it's very easy then, especially if you have it on the computer, to just pump it out to Jane or John or whatever, as to here's what we expect you to do. And talk ahead of time to your custodians, because there will never, I know this is strange during the pandemic, but there's never enough toilet paper during a festival or a competition, or paper towels or things like that. And the custodians need to plan ahead. They might even have to put on an extra person. So just communicate as much as you can.
I would add that for at least on the choir side, especially with hosting a show choir festival, this week is filled with lots of emails, making sure you're communicating not only with your volunteers and what's happening at your site, but you're emailing out to the other directors, informing them of information that is happening like closer to the event, and making sure that they're aware of the rules and regulations that are happening at your competition and any changes that may have happened in the past months.
And I would just throw in there that I think 2 weeks out might be too late as far as notifying teachers that you will be using their rooms. I don't know if it's ever too early to start telling people in your building if you will be in their room. People definitely want to know that way in advance. And then, at least for the Iowa High School Speech Association, we have quite a few volunteer job descriptions already prepared. So do check with your organization and be sure that you aren't reinventing the wheel, because there might be something in existence already that you could utilize.
Awesome. Hosting timeline, night before the event. Setting up for the event, make sure that you have all the equipment you need, maybe talking with the custodian for extra ladders, trash barrels to throw trash into when you're setting up your event and cleaning up for your event. making sure you have all the startup cash boxes ready for your event. For a show choir competition this past year, I had 5 cash boxes. So making sure you have them all ready to go the night before. All the electronic devices working, making sure the night before they're working. Then you do not want to show up that morning and find a device that is not working and trying to fix the issue with schools arriving that day. And finally, ballots, all labeled to go and ready to go for the judges. Does anybody else have anything to share for the night before the event?
I would throw in, you want to get the cash boxes a little bit ahead of time. When you are counting out the cash afterwards, never do it by yourself. Get 2 or 3 parents to do it. They have them count 2 or 3 times until they get 2 amounts that are the same. It's that important to the school auditors.
I would also say that depending on how much of your building you're going to utilize, having all kinds of signage up around your building will just help the day go more smoothly. So have signs that point to concessions, that point to wherever you're holding your competitors for the day, that point to different competition areas in your building. I think signs are just a huge help.
Okay, and last but not least, day of the event. So you want to take this one?
Sure, be there early. I cannot stress this enough. You're not going to sleep the night before anyhow. You might as well just get up at 3:30 and make breakfast and go over to the school and get ready. Be prepared for any last minute questions because you're going to get a lot of them. And sometimes the question seems silly to us because we live in the building. We thought about this thing for an entire year. But think about your poor, sweet little freshman who got lost in the building the very first day and couldn't find your room. And now you've got 17 schools full of those sweet little freshmen who don't have any idea where they're going. So be nice, smile, and you'll answer the same question 25 times. Track the money. Be transparent. All the money should be counted by 3 people, okay? And the last thing of that day is enjoy it, and you will sleep like a rock that night.
I would just say this is a great day. You prepare for it the whole time. But yes, you have to be prepared for last minute questions. No matter how much you prepared for this event, something will surprise you that you didn't think of, and you just have to be prepared to think on your feet that day and handle the situation that arises.
And my final comment is to, especially if you're a new person and you're going through this is a fire hose of overwhelming information. We have all hosted these things. We have done all of these things. We want you to be as comfortably prepared ahead of time as possible. And I believe that we're also going to supply basically this slide deck in a PDF form so that you could just download it, print it out, and have it there. But remember, in my opinion, no matter how much work it is, you're doing it for the kids.
And it's also just it can be a tremendous benefit to your community if you are willing to take something on as large as a big festival or competition. Your restaurants might benefit. I mean, the town gets seen, more people come to the community there. And besides, you're, showing off whatever facilities that you might have, and you're helping out people who participate in your activity throughout possibly the entire state of Iowa. So you are doing something really positive when you host.
That reminded me of something. It's sometimes wise, because you're hosting an event, to notify your town that this event is happening, because sometimes parents from out of town that are coming may stop by their stores, the gas station, food places, and they will not be prepared for those people coming into town. So it might be nice to give them a heads up that a big group of people may be arriving to the town.
I know that in our town, this is the last thing I'm going to say. I know that in our town, our Chamber of Commerce will help out with bags of local coupons and all sorts of things for visiting judges and directors and other folks who are important to the contest. So don't be afraid to ask, because there's other people in town that are happy to have more visitors.
Great. Well, thanks to our presenters. Thanks for joining us today, David Law and Susie Jones. And we are just a quick reminder that the Model of Excellence Mentorship Program is one of the biggest programs we sponsor here with the Iowa Alliance for Arts Education. And you can find more information about that program at the website below. And you also can find this webinar and other previous webinars we've done on the Iowa Alliance for Arts Education website. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.